The pistol was still warm in Luke Dawson's hand when he realized the mess he'd made. Two thugs lay sprawled in the dusty parking lot of a rundown truck stop outside Casper, Wyoming, their blood pooling under the harsh glow of sodium lights. He'd come looking for black market rifles to flip up north in Montana quick cash for a guy like him, a former Army Ranger turned drifter. But when he saw the little girl sink her teeth into the arm of the goon, dragging her mom toward that battered van, something inside him broke. Now, Isabella Ruiz and her 7-year-old daughter, Mia, stood there trembling, free but terrified. Luke was a killer again, and the distant wail of sirens meant trouble was closing in fast. What does a man sacrifice for a stranger's life? And when the cops come knocking, where do you hide in a world that's already forgotten you? Luke's ranch hunkered down in a valley ringed by pine-dotted hills, miles from the nearest town of prying eyes. No badges, no complications. Until tonight. Isabella hadn't said a word during the tense drive in his beat-up Ford pickup, her arms locked around Mia like a shield, eyes darting to the rearview mirror for pursuers. When they pulled up to the weather cabin, she climbed out without his help, clutching her ripped jacket. "You can crash in the spare room," Luke muttered, killing the engine. His voice was gravelly from too many silent nights. "There's fresh water, canned goods, whatever you need." She eyed his rugged face. Hunting for the hidden agenda, there was always one with men like him. "What do you want from us?" The question sliced through the chilly evening air like a knife. Luke hauled a duffel from the truck bed, his movements steady, controlled the same precision he'd used to drop those traffickers. "Nothing you're not willing to offer." But Isabella knew better than to buy a stranger's promises, especially one who just gunned down 2 men without blinking. That first night, she wedged a chair under the doorknob and gripped a steak knife from the kitchen drawer. Mia tossed in her sleep, murmuring in Spanish about nightmares. Through the walls, Isabella heard Luke pacing the living room, the clink of a beer can echoing his restlessness. She'd glimpsed the tattoos peeking from his sleeves, faded ink from deployments in Iraq, scars from battles he never talked about. This guy was no stranger to death. By dawn, her mind was set. They'd bolt, hotwire his truck if needed, head west to her cousin in Colorado. But when she cracked the door, Mia was gone. Heart pounding, Isabella bolted to the main room. Through the grimy window, she spotted them. Luke crouched by the old well pump, guiding Mia's small hands on the handle. "See? You're tougher than you think, kiddo like your dad must have been." Mia's eyes lit up, a faint smile breaking through for the first time since they'd fled New Mexico. "Mom, Mr. Luke says I'm strong." Isabella's throat tightened. Mia hadn't spoken of her father in months, not since the cancer claimed him. Luke glanced up, their eyes locking across the yard. It wasn't trust sparking there, not quite, but a shared understanding. 2 survivors clinging to fragile remnants. "She's starving," he said plainly. "I was fixing breakfast." Inside, the cabin smelled of strong coffee and sizzling bacon basic grub, but a feast after weeks on the run. Luke navigated the tiny kitchen with unexpected ease for a big guy, his calloused hands setting plates without fuss. As Mia dug in, Isabella watched him pour coffee into mismatched mugs, dark and bitter, the kind that kept you sharp when shadows lurked. "Those guys you shot," she whispered while Mia ate. "More will come hunting." "I know. Why risk it?" Luke stared into his mug, morning light highlighting the silver in his cropped hair, the deep lines around his hazel eyes. "Because some lines you don't let people cross." His gaze met hers, and Isabella felt a stern desire, not yet, but recognition of kindred pain. 3 weeks slipped by before the flu hit Mia hard, a cough turning to chills, her tiny frame burning up. It was the strain sweeping through rural Wyoming, deadly in isolated spots like this. Isabella had lost neighbors to it back home. It had nearly taken her husband, too. "We need antibiotics from town," she murmured, dabbing Mia's forehead. Luke loomed in the doorway, cap twisted in his fists. They both knew the risk. His face was plastered on wanted alerts now. Luke Dawson, armed and dangerous. I'll head out at first light. They'll spot you. He settled the cap on his head. But she'll die without it. As he turned, Isabella grabbed his arm, his skin rough, marked by old burns. She'd seen those hands calm a jittery stray dog, fix the leaky roof, and brush Mia's hair during fever dreams. Don't, she pleaded. We'll figure something else. No other way. Desperation clawed at her. Over the weeks, she'd grown used to him the way he split firewood at sunrise, humming old country tunes, the wildflowers left on the counter without a word, the respectful space he gave, never pushing. Trust that crept in, and worse, what? If you go, you won't make it back. What about us? His eyes shadowed. Gently, he covered her hand with his. Then take the truck keys from the drawer. Cash stashed in the shed enough to get you safe. This is safe. The words tumbled out, surprising them both. In this ramshackle cabin with this haunted vet, she'd found refuge she thought impossible. Stability, quiet, the hint of more. Isabella. His voice cracked, uncertain. She stepped closer, inhaling pine and sweat on him, seeing the vein throb at his neck. They'd circled this for weeks, the lingering looks, the electric tension in tight quarters. Stay, she whispered, rising to kiss him. It was raw, fueled by terror and need, the fear that tomorrow could steal it all. Luke froze, then wrapped her in his arms, pulling her against his solid frame. When they parted, gasping, he murmured against her hair, I have to. You know that. She did, just as she knew loving a fugitive meant gambling everything. That night, with Mia's fever easing slightly, Isabella slipped into Luke's room. He sat on the bed, cleaning his Glock under a dim bulb. You don't have to, I want to. What followed was urgent and tender, his touch mapping her curves with reverence, her fingers tracing his war-torn body. Dawn came too soon. She watched him gear up holster, jacket to conceal the weapon. If I'm not back by dark, you will be. Tears stung as she tugged the sheet higher. He kissed her farewell at the door, soft and laden with unspoken vows, then vanished into the misty morning. Mia stirred, calling for water. Life pressed on, even as your world drove away into danger. Gunfire echoed at dusk-sharp pops rolling over the hills like storm warnings. Isabella's blood froze. She clutched Mia, peering through the window at the access road. Dust plumes rose, vehicles approaching, fast too many. Mommy, Mia's voice quivered. Quiet, baby. But it wasn't just cops cresting the risey, it was Luke, slumped over the wheel of his truck, shirt dark with blood. Trailing him, 3 SUVs with flashing lights, deputies closing the gap. Isabella's pulse thundered. He'd snagged the medj, saw the bottle in his grip, but at what cost? The door flew open. Luke staggered in, ashen and spent. They tailed me from the town sheriff's unit. He shoved the antibiotics at her, hands slick. Hide. Take Mia and go. Not without you, damn it. She cupped his face, forcing eye contact. Outside, engines roared nearer, shouts of surround the place. Dawson, you're done. In his eyes, she read the grim math of a soldier who'd lost too much, weighing his life against theirs and coming up short. The storm cellar under the kitchen rug. Get Mia down there. And you? She yanked off her old wedding band, the plain gold from her first marriage. Buying time. Before he could argue, she was at the door, tousling her hair, adjusting her shirt to reveal more enough to distract hard-nosed lawmen long enough for her people to vanish. Her people, when had that happened? The lead deputy was mid-30s, badge gleaming, eyes steely. Ma'am, we're after Luke Dawson, a murder suspect. He might be holding you hostage. Isabella thickened her accent, let her voice waver. Officer, he was here, but he split an hour ago, headed east on the highway. Search the grounds, boys. Her stomach nodded, but then Mia, Hakita weak, sickly sound from below, and a deputy paused. Kids down bad, probably that flu going around. The sheriff's gaze softened a fraction. You need a doc? Heard someone hit the pharmacy for supplies. My girl, Isabella choked out, real tears flowing. She was fading. That man, he grabbed meds for her. I don't get why. It wasn't all false. She couldn't fathom why Luke had thrown his life away for them, but gratitude burned fierce. Well, he's likely hightailing it to Canada by now. They poked around outside, but skipped the interior-why suspect as scared mom shielding a killer. Once gone, Isabella waited an hour before prying up the rug. Luke emerged first, battered and pale, then Mia, wan but awake. "Why?" he rasped. "Why not turn me in?" She eased him into a chair, slicing away his shirt to clean the graze painful, but survivable. "Because you saved my daughter. Us. That makes you ours." His hand stilled hers. "I can't stick around, Theo'll circle back. Next time, we'll handle it. Together." Something cracked in his guarded stare, the lone wolf yielding to warmth, love, possibility. Together, he echoed like an oath. That night, with Mia resting easily and Luke's wound bandaged, Isabella curled into him, feeling what she'd lost with her husband, home. 8 months on, the alerts had faded, buried under fresh crimes. Wyoming's vastness swallowed old news. Luke still favored his side from the bullet, a permanent reminder, but his touch was soft, teaching Mia to read by firelight, steadily helping Isabella with the vegetable patch. They kept low-key, steering clear of town gossip. Some nights, when Mia slept and the wind howled through the pines, Isabella caught Luke scanning the horizon that ingrained vigilance. Worried, she'd ask. His hold tightened, but not from flight urges anymore. They'd built something worth defending, not fairy tale perfect. Love was gritty and chosen, forged in fire. On her finger gleamed a ring Luke had whittled from aspen wood, simple, sturdy, true as him. It caught the sunlight, warm as Wyoming's summers, solid as their bond. In these rugged hills between wilderness and renewal, it was everything. What would you risk for love and family? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Luke was a hero or a fool? Share your stance. Would you have turned him in or fought alongside? Let's hear your views.